translation of the meaning of the Quran. So if you have a particular this one, it has got an advantages, because at the back of the book there is a very comprehensive index, like a dictionary. You look for the word and you will get it. You look for the word, any word that is entitled for the Muslims. We wanted to know what is our do's and don'ts. So we go back to the index, we see what are the do's and don'ts. We wanted to know what are the terms of worship, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. We wanted to identify what He is prescribing us. So we look for the words and it's very easy to find. Every page have got numbers and every page has been written that this is the surah. So I read to you this verse from Surah Al-Imran, and that is the 3rd chapter of the Quran. You go to the verse and it says, Allah says that inna dina indallahi al-Islam. Most certainly the way of life, the deen, the way of life that is accepted in the sight of Allah is Islam. Is Islam. So Allah says that only one thing that I accept from the human is they should acquire peace by submitting their will to my will. And that is only accepted in the sight of Allah. If I believe, or if an individual believe about his own theory, and if that is not prescribed in the Quran, then that is not accepted in the sight of Allah. So the verse is very explicitly clear to us that this is the deen, the religion of peace is accepted by Allah. So what about this secular religion that we are practicing? Is it fit or is it accepted in the sight of Allah or not? So let us see whether we can have a balance between these two ways of life. Belief by definition means that what we believe. And religion by definition according to Oxford Dictionary means that a belief of a personal belief of a god or gods who deserve worship. That is the definition of religion according to dictionary. But as a Muslim we believe that Islam is not just a mere belief about a god or gods. It is a complete way of life. It has the instruction of everything that what we need, the mankind that they need. And that is the difference between religion, Islam, and the other religion. Many of the religion, it says only to believe about God. But the difference of the main aspect of Islam between other religion or any other way of life is Islam has a complete guidance of how a human life should be lived. So this is the balance of Islam. Allah says how you should lead a life. Not the life in the hereafter, but the life in this world. So this is a secular life, and Allah says you have to balance with this life. And by this process, if you go back to the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also prescribing in Surah Qasas, that is chapter 28, and if you read the verse 77, Allah says, وَابْتَغِي فِي مَا أَطَاقَ اللَّهُ دَارَ الْآخِرَةِ. Then you seek, Allah is prescribing us that you must seek, وَابْتَغِي, that you must seek فِيمَا أَطَاقَ اللَّهُ, the blessings of Allah that He has provided to you. وَالدَّارَ الْآخِرَةِ, the life in the hereafter. And the verse continues, وَلَا تَنْسَى نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا, and do not forget to enjoy the blessings of this dunya that I have provided for you, that is lawful. So Allah is prescribing us that we must not forget that وَلَا تَنْسَى نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيا, to do not forget the things that I have provided for you that is good. So we are told here that we must seek through what is the good things has been provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty Creator. The verse continues that وَأَحْسِنْ, and do good. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuing that because He did goods to the human, whatever He provided is for the welfare of mankind. The verse ended that Allah do not like those who create mischiefs on the earth. This verse is clearly defined as that we must live a secular life, not based on secular theory, but based on the theory of the Creator. We must deal with the things of this earth, whatever we need. So, this life is a portion, is a part of the life hereafter. that is the purpose of this life. Allah says in Surah Mulk chapter 67 verse 2 that Allazi khalaqal mawta wal hayata. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created the life and the death so that He can testify whom of us is best in our good deeds. So this life is a test for us. And of course, if there is nothing good, then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us? He said, I have created everything for you, for a good purpose. If we use it at bad purpose, then it deviates. But if we use everything, the blessings of Allah, then it is a form of worship in Islam. So, many religions, if we well known about Christianity or many other religions, they say that look, if you want to be a religious person, you have to follow certain life of monasticism. And if you don't know what is monasticism, that they say that your fathers or your forefathers, they were not religious minded. And because of that, the God, He punishes and the human race is come into existence. So if we are to believe on these people, they say that we have to renounce the world. Our forefathers, they did not follow religion. And if we wanted to follow religion, we have to follow a path of monasticism. So if we agree with them that if we follow monasticism, then within 100 years or 150 years, the life of human being will cease to exist on the face of this earth. Because we have to follow monasticism, we cannot marry, we cannot have children, we cannot have the generation after that. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Hadith chapter 57 verse 27, He says that this monasticism is never prescribed in the Quran. Islam is against monasticism. And He says that these are the invention of the people of the book, which they invented for themselves. But Allah says that you must follow what is good. Surah Hadith chapter 57 verse 27. So this monasticism is prescribed as a forbidden in Islam. Let us see some of the example of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you read Sahih Bukhari in the volume 7, we all know that there are 93 books in the Sahih Bukhari. There are 9 volumes, and if you go through the 7 volumes, very well-known chapter is called the Book of Nikah, Book of Marriage. And the first few hadiths we can look through that. Hadith number 4, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, he was addressing in the mosque to the young people, that, O young people, whoever among you shall have a means to marry, you should marry. Because marriage, it will prevent you from the evil of the society. It will help you to lower your gaze and it will help you to be modest. So we see in the society now, especially in any part of the world, now it's a growing problem whether you live in any part of the world, either in America, either in Europe or in Asia, that the social bondage between the husband and the wife, we can see in Sweden, the statistics tells us more than 50% of the marriage contracts, they are being divorced. It is one of the highest divorce rates in this states of us that what we live in. In United States, the case is more serious. In England, the case is much more worst. But the reason is that there is no social bondage between the opposite genders or the opposite sex. And that is called marriage. They do everything, they do adultery, they do fornication, and somehow the real value of the human life is missed. So no one is satisfied with what they are doing. So somehow the problem is increasing in the society. So Islam says there should not be any monasticism. You must learn the value of this life, how to live a peaceful life in an organized manner, like a family. Take responsibility to be a father, to be a mother, and take part in the social organizations that benefits you, to give you some lessons. So even in the Muslim society at the present time, if we look through, that the Muslims are splitting, they're dividing in various thoughts and minds, because we want to follow our own desires. And due to lack of practice, lack of knowledge, lack of social awareness, we have to agree that somehow or the others we try to compare the religion with the tradition or with the culture or with the practice of the majority or minority. If you look back to some Muslim country, majority country, we have problems. And the other side, we wanted to see those problems and to identify and balance with Islam. But this is not Islam. Islam is a total submission to the will of Allah. If I, being a Muslim who claim to be a Muslim, if I don't follow certain things in Islam, certain obligations, that does not mean that Islam is bad, or we have to give blame to the Islam. Islam is pure, the Muslim, they do wrong things. So the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is very clear in this context. He says in Sunan Abu Dawud, hadith number 4579, that my ummah, he said, my ummah